Hi folks, this is Karim Rao from IT Visualizer channel. Today we will continue our lab concerning the lab name the transformers. We will begin today applying or creating more Active Directory right management service templates and dynamic access control rules as the best practice from Microsoft documentation. There is some Active Directory Right Management Service templates offered from Microsoft as a best practice, and also some dynamic access control rules as a best practice for the production environments. So today we will continue creating these templates and rules, and then after that we will join our workstation, the one that we previously made in the previous labs. This workstation, the virtual machine that we installed on it Windows 10, and then begin making all the tips and tweaks, and then we will join it to the domain, and we will begin seeing this Active Directory right management templates and dynamic access control rules in action, to see it on a workstation that joined the domain, to see all of the templates and rules applied. So let's start. So here we begin creating a new template, Active Directory Right Management Policy template. Here this template we are giving access to a certain user to a certain document. Okay, we can do this for a group, as I was saying before. The Active Directory Right Management templates work or authenticate the user or verifies the user by its email address, by his or her email address. So if you don't have an email address or have email address, so you can put the username at your domain name. For example, if my user is krauf, so krauf at transformers.local, this will be my domain. So if you want to apply, for example, Active Directory Right Management Service template to a group, then you have to give all of the users in a certain group the same email address. So this Active Directory Right Management Service can be applied. For example, let's see now. For example, if you have, for example, you want the Autobots group to have access to a certain document, then all of the users in the group called Autobots need to have the same email address. As I said before, you don't have an email address, then you can put the name of the user or the group. In our case, you have to put, for example, we have a group called tr_autobots. Then you will make an email address for this group, tr_autobots at transformers.local, and then put in the setting of the email for each user in this group this email address, tr_autobots at transformers.local, and then make the template. For example, here we are making a template to allow only Autobots group to access confidential documents, and they will have all of the rights to it: write, read, and extract, and print, and all of this. And we'll make another one for the Decepticons, which is another group, to access certain confidential documents. So every group will access certain documents, okay? And for example, the Autobots can't access the confidential documents of Decepticons, and the Decepticons can't access the confidential documents of Autobots. And as I said before, if all of these templates are working with or verified or controlled through the user or group email address. So here we will begin working. Here we'll make Autobots confidential document. As I said before, this is best practice from Microsoft documentation. I will put the link in the description of the video. Here we have make the template. Okay, that's the name of the template, and then we'll add the user or group email address. As I said, the email address of a user or a group. So here I am, for simplicity, I will only need one user to access a certain document. We can make this for the group, as I said before, but we need to change all of the user's email address field in the Active Directory, right? Active Directory setting for the user, the email have to be the group email. So here for simplicity, I will only allow one user to have a certain access to a certain confidential document. For example, if you need, for example, your GM or your financial controller to access or only to have an access to a certain document, so you can select the user and give it the full rights. Here I am trying to select more than one user, but actually it doesn't allow only one user to be selected at a time. Or if you need to have more than one user, then you have to have a group selected, not a user. And as I said before, you have to have all of the users that are member of this group to have the email address of the group. Okay, so here we will give it full control. You can create custom rights. You can grant the owner full control with no expiration. You can give expiration to the document. For example, after 10 days this expiration will end, so this user that have access to this or have full access will not have any access after the finish of the expiration date. Enable protected documents, okay, and then finish. So then we have the document, okay. We will make another one for the Decepticons, okay. We create another template. It's simple and easy. As I said before, this is best practice from Microsoft documentation, and actually the documentation explains a lot. I will put it in the description so any one of you can see how to be done and what it exactly means. So here, for example, I'm checking to see if I can get one of the Decepticons email address to put it to this template. As I said before, for simplicity, I will not not put a group. I will put only a user from each of the two factions, okay, the Decepticons and the Autobots. Everyone or every user from every faction will have access to a certain document, full access to a certain document. For example, if any user except this user tries to access this document, it will give him an error that he doesn't have any rights. I said before, here we have some groups. Here we have the, if you can get a little bit, sorry, get a little bit closer. So here, if, for example, if you need to make an Active Directory management template that allowing a certain group to access a certain document, then you have this tr_decepticons.local. This you will choose this email address and attach it to the Active Directory management template, and every member of this group have to has in its Active Directory attribute or setting had to have the same email address of the group, so you can be able to apply it to all of the users. Okay, for example, if you go a little bit around, here we go, we need to have all of these users in their properties or Active Directory properties to have the email address of the group tr_decepticons@transformers.local to be able to apply or to have all of these users access a certain document. So you can next add expire if you need it not to expire. As I said before, you can this write or this template or this access to a document will finish, or this user will not have any access to this document after certain time. You can specify it, okay? So here we can see the setting. Here is the name of the template, and here is the user rights. So we have two templates created. So here I have I have some documentation from Microsoft. I will follow it. Okay, for example, this let's see, for this one or this template that we are creating is to if a certain user access a certain document that he is not allowed to access it, then we will have an enable, or sorry, we will have an access access document error. This is we will create a template, okay, that for any user that doesn't have access to a certain document, then an access document error will appear for him. We will see that now in a moment. And this is also documentation best practice. So here to do this we have to go to the file server. First of all, we will do this on a folder level. For example, as I said before, this is will be an error message that will appear for any user that doesn't have. Sorry, I think we will not do it through the right management service. We will do it through the access Active Directory policy. Okay, I think no. If you need an enable access error to appear for any user that doesn't have an access to a certain document or share, then we do it from two ways, even from the file server resource manager or through a group policy. This is not related to the Active Directory Net Management Service templates, I am sorry. So we will do this. Let's see now how we can do it. So as I said before, this is deploy. If you can see from the description of the document, deploy access denied assistant. This is a message that appears for the user when accessing a certain share or a certain file that he doesn't have right access to it. Okay. So to do this, as I said before, we can do it through the file resource manager, file server resource manager, or through the group policy. We can do it by two ways. So we can go to the tools and then file server and then configure options, access denied assistant, and enable access denied assistant. And this document I will put it on in the transformers script folder, which will be put in the description in every video I put. Let's go back a little bit further. So as I said before, it's get from tools, then file server manager, right click on file resource manager, and then configure options, and then access denied assistant, enable access denied assistant. So here right click on file resource manager, and then we will have access denied assistant, enable access denied assistant. This is the message that will appear for the user if he doesn't have an access to a certain folder or file. For example, we can also, when we activate this option, that when a certain user doesn't have an access to a certain folder or file, then he can send an email to the administrator that this user is trying to access an unauthorized file for him. Okay, this is the first way of doing it. You can access, or you can activate this enable access assistant access file assistant error. You can do this through the group policy. Sorry, I'm trying first to discover the setting because I didn't know how to do it. As I said before, you have two ways to enable this access documents or files error notification that will appear for the user if he tries to access a certain folder or file that he doesn't have access to. This can be done through the file server resource manager or through the group policy. I did it the first step, I did it through the file resource manager. We have enabled the option, and then we can configure the email address to be the administrator email. So if any user try to access an unauthorized file or folder, so let's continue our lab again. As I said before, we are doing it through the access denied errors, or the access denied message will be done on files, on shares or file, sorry, on folder shares or file types through two things, through the file resource manager console or through the group policy. And in the next video, when I join the virtual machine that we have done before in a previous video and join it to the domain, I will begin applying or begin testing all of this Active Directory Right Management Service templates and DAC rules, Dynamic Access Control rules, and this access denied assistant or access denied error message. We will see that all live when we join the workstation to the domain, and try all of these things. So here I'm just checking the PDF because I thought there is something or the sequence I'm doing is not correct, but actually I was working correctly. We'll see now after I have done the file server resource manager setting, we will do the group policy setting, because the file resource manager, it is on the level of folder sharing, and the other one of the group policy, it will be on the file level. Okay. Actually, the first time that I did the first setting on the file resource manager, this will be done on all file shares. But if you need to specify a specific for every folder or every shared folder need to specify a certain access denied error message, this can be done also. For example, here in the add button, you can add the uh, folders that this message will appear, the folders that this message will appear if the user doesn't have access to these folders. For example, I will choose all of my department share folders. Okay. This is done, as I said before, classification properties. This can be done uh, to all of the shared folders, or you can specify a certain message for every folder. If you need to have an access error message for every folder, this can be done. For example, here I'm specifying the message that this will appear if someone doesn't have an access to the cleaning folder, then this message will appear for him. You can specify different message for different folders. Okay, so here I will add this one. We can change the, as I said before, you can change every message. You can have different messages. So I can just quick forward this one. Okay, here you have done all of this. So here we can see that I have done all of these messages to these folders. Okay, as I said before, if you need a specific message to a specific folder, this can be done. Then this is on the file share folder level. Okay, but on the file itself level or on the folder level, this messages will appear. So we can do a group policy management to be on the file level itself. We can see this one. So here we will open the group policy. I will make this setting on the default group policy, default domain group policy. in system. Access denied assistant. So here we will enable this option, and then we will put the message that need to appear to any user that doesn't have access to this file. As I said before, this is on the file level. Or I think it's for both file and folder, but it is done by two ways. We'll see all of this when we apply it on a workstation, and you'll see that live practically, but let's first configure it. We will just put the message and then check enable users to request assistant and apply and OK. And then we will enable also this option. It's enable access denied assistant on client for all file types. That means that all types of files, if the user doesn't have access to them, access to these files, all of the file types, this message will appear for him. Any file type. As I said before, I don't have access here to the internet, not now. Maybe in future videos I will have an internet access, so I can put the administrator email. So if any illegal access or unauthorized access to certain files or folders by users, an email will be sent to the admin saying that this user is trying to access a file or folder that he doesn't have any user rights or any access rights to it. So here I think this is the first document. We have a couple of documents here. We have also, let's see which document we will apply next. It's encryption of office files. Okay, let's demonstrate this for a moment. We will make an Active Directory right management service template that says that if any document, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, whatsoever contains the word confidential, okay, so this document should be encrypted. Okay, encrypted by who? We will make Active Directory right management service template that specify user that there is two parts of this. First of all, we make an Active Directory right management service template that specify a user that will encrypt any Word or any Office document that contains the word confidential. This user will be responsible for encrypting it, and then from the file resource manager we will go and get this Active Directory right management service template and a conjunction, or let's say inform or make a rule, an access rule, sorry, a classification rule. From this, we will, from the file resource manager, make a classification rule saying that any word or any document that contains word confidential, it will be encrypted through the Active Directory right management service template that we specify. We will see that now in a moment. This is also a best practice from Microsoft. Simply because I didn't specify or didn't explain clearly, it's just we will make a rule saying that any document that contains the word confidential will be encrypted by a certain user. This is done through two programs or two parts. The first part is to make an Active Directory right management service template, and then go to the file resource manager and create a classification rule and specifying that the Active Directory right management service template that we have created to encrypt any document that contains the word confidential through this Active Directory right management policy template. So it is two parts: classification of the files, and after classification, the template that is used to encrypt this type of documents. We will see that now. And also this document, it is in the transformers script folder. So if anyone wants to read or need more details, you can read this through the document. And also we will do another thing. We will make a dynamic control access rule. Let's also specify that for a moment. For example, we can control an access to a certain, for example, as we said, we will encrypt any file that contains the word confidential. It will be encrypted by the Active Directory right management service template, and in conjunction or by the help of the file resource manager. For the dynamic access control rule, I will make a rule that will specify that I need specific personnel in the IT to have a certain access to a certain folder. For example, here I will specify that if this user in the Active Directory, his title is IT bot or IT assistant, for example, he will access this folder only. If, for example, the title of the IT is different, for example, coordinator or any other thing, he will not access this folder. So I am specifying now not the department only, but the title added to it. So we'll see that now. Here I am doing another access control, central access rule. Okay, I will add a new one. Sorry folks, let's go for a moment. I think I have mistaken something. Let's go for a moment for something here. Sorry, this is another access control I will do after this one. This is also still, we are still in the document of encrypting any document that contains the word confidential. Here we will work this through two ways, as I said before, through the Active Directory Management Service template and also in conjunction with the dynamic access control rule. We will see that in a moment. Actually, we are saying that if a file contains the word impact, or for example impact, means that if this document is tagged as high or tagged as confidential, it will be encrypted. Okay, so this should be done in conjunction with the Active Directory right management service and dynamic access control. Actually, folks, if you can see the documentation, it will explain this further. I am just doing the steps. Here we're just opening the impact. So here basically that in the access dynamic access control, it's activating some Active Directory attributes, okay, and we will use these attributes to tag files, okay. So for example, if a file is tagged as impact, its impact is high, and it is personally identifiable information, if this folder or this file contains these two tags, then the dynamic access control, sorry, not dynamic access control, the Active Directory Right Management Service template will encrypt the file. We will see this when all it will be all collected or clarify after making the configuration. So let's do this from the start. To encrypt a file, we have to first of all make an Active Directory Right Management Service template that specify a user that will encrypt the file, okay, and then we go to the file resource manager and make a classification rule saying that any file that is tagged as uh, is tagged, okay, as impact high or contains uh, personal identification information, these two attributes are if these two attributes are tagged to the file, then we will encrypt, and also contains the document contains uh, a word confidential or classified, then he will use the Active Directory Right Management Service template to encrypt this file. And also in the Active Directory Right Management Service, we will specify this user. Please read the document for more details. I will do an explanation, or actually we'll do a document, okay, and see this in action. It will be applied just for a moment, so don't worry about the configuration. We will make a document and we will put the word confidential and see how it will be encrypted. I said you can see this description, as I said before. After doing the configuration, we will mark the file as high impact. So if the file or folder contains a high impact classification, then it will be encrypted. So let's complete. We will see that in action, but don't worry about the configuration, as I said before. For these two tags, or for these two impact and personal identifiable information, or identifiable information, for these two files to appear in the classification tab on the folder or file, then we need to run a PowerShell script, not a PowerShell command, sorry. We will see this now, don't worry. So this command is update FRSM classification property definition. This command to make the impact and other Active Directory attribute that we have added or have activated to appear in the classification tab. We will see this if we, for example, right click on a folder and get to classification tab. For example, let's refresh first. We will see that there is a tag appear as impact and personal identification. Just a minute, for example, it we will see now. For example, this schedule, we will done this to run to make all of the classification rules run in a certain time. For example, so that the file resource manager can discover the confidential the files or folders that contains the word confidential. The file resource manager can discover it every specific time of interval, or a specific interval of time. We make it on Sunday. So if you, for example, added more documents that contains confidential word, the word confidential, he will be able to discover it and apply the encryption to it. So here we have already enabled the configuration. So we'll make a classification rule, high business impact. So here I will specify a rule that says if a file contains the word confidential, then we will encrypt this file. So here in the scope we will specify our department shares. Okay, so it will the file resource manager will search all of the department shares and see if any file contains the name, the word confidential, then it will encrypt the file through the Active Directory Right Management Service template. Okay, I have specified here the folder, and as I said before, Active Directory Right Management Service, we will specify a certain user to encrypt the files. If you need to have many users or multiple users to encrypt multiple documents, then you can do this also. In the classification, here we say the group files. Actually, I'm following the steps of the document of Microsoft, so we don't need to know all of what every step means, but in the end we will have a rule that will encrypt any document in the file shares, okay, that contains the word confidential. Here we will specify that its folder usage we have already added the file, add the folder, so we don't need to work with it again. We are specifying the folder group files, and then we will add our folder or department share folders, which is under data cube. This is the one that contains all of my department share folders. Okay, here in the classification we will, as I said before, there is many rules, or there is 3 rules in the file classification rule. It's content classifier and folder classifier and partial. Here we will choose the impact and we will make it as high if the document is high, and then it will be content classifier. As I said, if a word contains any file or office document that contains the word confidential, then this rule will encrypt it. Here we put the word confidential, so if transformers confidential or confidential, okay, if the file resource manager sees this value in any file, it will encrypt the file. Then we reevaluate. So if I have now documents I need to reevaluate or reapply this rule, so you reapply it by this option. Override existing value. And OK. So we have in this, let's recap what we did. To encrypt any file in your department shares, we have 3 parts. First of all, we have to make an Active Directory Right Management Service template and assign a user to this template, so this user will be able to encrypt any file that contains the word confidential. This is first through the Active Directory Management Service template. We will assign a user and make a template and assign this user to this template, so he will be able to encrypt the any document that contains word confidential. After that, we will make the file resource manager or make a classification rule so he can tag certain files with the Active Directory attribute impact and personal identifiable information. These two, if we tag this or we tag files with these two tags, then it will be encrypted. And then the last part is to go to folder management, or we'll see that in a moment, but there is another part. Let's recap it. In the classification management or file management, on the classification management, let's see that in a moment, sorry. Actually, there is two parts in this one. You can make it also if you make this rule if there is, for example, social security number or passport number or credit card number. Also, this rule applies to it. But I only did it for the confidential or the word. Any file that contains the confidential word, it will be encrypted. But if you need also it to encrypt any document that contains a social number or credit number, this is also can be done, but I only using the first part of it. I have done this all. So let's see what I am doing here, just a minute. Here I'll make a document and put confidential data in it. The word no trigger expression will contain transformers confidential. So if this word is in any document, this document should be encrypted. Okay, the third part, as I said before, here I will repeat again. We will first of all make an Active Directory management template with a user that is authorized to encrypt the files if there is the word confidential in any file that contains this word. And then we'll go to the file resource manager and make a classification rule. We'll go to the dynamic access control and enable two options or two Active Directory attributes to be enabled, the impact and the personal identifiable information. This will be enabled, and then we will use these two attributes and tag files with it through the file resource manager classification rules. Okay, and then after that we will go to the file management task and make a rule that will encrypt all files that are tagged with impact high or personal identifiable information that contains credit cards or social number. We will use the Active Directory Right Management Service template to encrypt it. I'll take the document. We'll see now. Sorry folks, it's not Active Directory attribute. The impact and personal identifiable information. This is not Active Directory. No, I think it's Active Directory. Active Directory attributes, or this is maybe a file attribute. Okay, here we are making the scope and then the action. Okay, he's using the data cube file or the location of the files. Here it will, I need to RMS encryption. I will select, I need to make a template as I said before. Contoso Finance Admin only. Here this is, we'll make Active Directory Right Management Service template to choose a user to encrypt the files. And we'll run this file management task to be run on a specific interval. So to check the files and folders every now and then, and to see if the word confidential is there, it will encrypt the files. So here we will create the Active Directory Net Management template to use it in the file management task. IT encrypt data. I will choose the user. Give him full rights. Next, and then finish. Right click and create file management task, and then we will the scope, group files, okay, and then action, M2 encrypt, and we will choose the template that we have done now, data encryption. I think all of this is clear, is being cleared now, is being very clear. After all of what we have done is recapped in this file, these steps. Okay, here we will condition, we will add if the impact is high, is equal to high, this is the condition, so we will encrypt this file. We have used the attribute that we have added to make a condition. And then we'll make a schedule to run this file management task every now and then. So we will see this in a moment. I have already put a file and create a file and put transformers confidential in it. We will see after applying the rule you will see that this file is encrypted. And tagged also. You'll see this. Sorry, then we will go to the folder or file and mark it as impact high. Okay, so I will go to the file that I have created, the text file, and right click on properties, and in the classification tab I will choose the impact to be high. So we have two conditions: the impact has to be high, and the file itself should contain the word confidential. So we'll go data cube and then cleaning, and then this file, or I can make the folder itself. In the classification tab we'll have the impact. Okay, we can choose it to be as high. So here the rule, here if the file contains the word confidential, then it will give it the attribute of impact high. Okay, so after that the file task management can use this attribute to encrypt the file. It didn't work for some reason. I will do it manually. I think I will go to the file and data and go to the classification, and it's high. It's there already. That's done. The rule has applied successfully. Okay, then the file is named as high. The rule has been applied, and it will contains the word confidential. So we will continue our lab. So here I have already put the file is being classified as high, impact high, because it contains the word confidential. I have make a word file and it contains transformers confidential, and I will run the rule of the impact high document. First of all, let's see if the document itself is have been tagged as high. Okay, we can choose from here high, or we can run the classification rule. We'll make it now. We'll have the run classification rule. After running that, the word file that contains the word confidential will be tagged as impact high, and in a couple of seconds we will see that this file is encrypted. After that, sorry, we'll pause for a moment. So let's continue our lab. First of all, as I said before, Now the file is tagged as high, and because it contains the word confidential. And then if we see the properties, we'll see that the classification after running the classification rule, it's selected as high. And then we will try to open the Word document. We will see that it is encrypted, and it will ask for a username and a password to access it. Here it's configuring, and it's saying information right management. Here is this one, and it's encrypted also. If you are not authorized, you will not be able to access it. It is encrypted. Here it's using the encryption, the template that's already done. We have already created IT encrypt data. It took the template and encrypt the data, and all of this done in conjunction with the file server manager. So here in this step I am creating a new DAC rule, that it is a rule that applied if a certain user in the Active Directory have a title and a department. So the two the Active Directory attributes for the title and the name should be there. For example, I am here saying that the one that its title as IT bot will be able to access a central folder, a certain folder. For example, if the title is not IT bot, for example, it's IT drone, then it will not be accessed. Then it will not be authorized for access. We'll see that now. Here we will put the rule and add a condition. The department should be IT, and we will add another condition, should have the title of IT bot. So if it's IT drone, it will not be able to access the folder. Here we have already choose the criteria or the condition. Here we will give it so if this condition is applied, then the user will have full control as an IT, or modify. Actually for all departments I give it as modify, but for the IT I will give it full control. So we will add here, if here as I said before, we give the whole group, the IT TR underscore group will have full control. Okay, and the condition that the user should be a member of this group. So as I said before, we will not give a single user we will not give a single user the rights. So we are working as a best practice to work with groups, not with users. So here we identify the condition again, that the user should have IT bots, the value of IT bot. So after doing this rule, we will go, as I said before in previous video, we should, when we make a central access rule, we should make a central policy and attach this central rule to it. Okay. We will go to central policy and make a new one and attach this rule to it, central access rule to it. And then we will push this central access policy through the group policy to the file server resource manager, to the file server, okay, and then attach this policy to the folder of the IT, to the folder of the classified under the IT. So let's quick forward. I think here we have the classified. So after doing this, we need to update the group policy. But there is a small problem. We didn't add this to the here. If I'm trying to give it the right click and purpose, we don't see the access or the new central access policy is not there. We need to attach it through the group policy. So we'll go to the default domain controllers policy. Should add this newly added access central access policy should be added through the group policy, and then update the group policy so this access policy should appear under the folders. You will see now. So here in the file system central access and then we will add manage, and then we will add this classified. Okay, and then we will update the group policy on this server, and we'll update also this policy through the other server. So here if we double click on data cube and then we'll go to the IT folder, okay, and then the classified, this is the one that we need the IT policy, the new policy to be added to advanced in the security central policy. Here we can change and access IT classified files, and then apply and OK. For more info, if you can return to my previous videos concerning the DAC rules, dynamic access control rules, you will know what I am doing, because this is done before. And also we will see that when we join the workstation that we have done before to the domain and applying these rules or seeing these rules in action. I think the video is finished. Yes, I'm shutting down the domain controller. So I see you all the next video when we join the workstation to the domain and begin applying these rules. Thank you so much. Bye bye.